Hello, hello. Hi, guys. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi. Hi, everybody. I got something to share with y'all. How y'all feeling today? First of all, let me do this plug for anybody who is always hot. Baby, listen. I'm always hot. I'm always hot. Hey, baby. Hey. Y'all know I love Sam's Club. Y'all know I love Sam's Club. We're going to get into the conversation, the reason I'm on live. I'm not on live to promote things that are not getting me paid, but I'm definitely on live to promote things that can make y'all feel better. So y'all know I'm going through a private summer. Hey, Sora, how are you? Y'all know I'm going through a private summer. So I got this fan, and I got this fan on sale at Sam's Club. And let me just show y'all this real quick. Hold on. So it goes up to 100. Hold up. This month. Y'all see that? That's 68. Look at this. Baby, what in the Beyonce? Baby, what in the Beyonce? Baby, what in the Beyonce? So every MUA, okay, I'm gonna stop. So every MUA and every artist, man, it's so dope. And it's $59 though. It's $59, and I'm on a major budget. Especially after this email I just got from my lawyer. But yeah, it's worth it because I've spent over $59 on the little fans that don't really be working. Man, you can make a whole music video with this fan. Got me looking so crazy. Hold on, let's see if it works. Hold on. Dang, why ain't you gonna work now? Here you go. Got me looking so crazy right now. Your love got me looking so crazy right now. Okay, I'll stop and be serious. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm gonna do a live on WIRF.tv because I know how the OODA is about my IG. But I wanted to first say hello to everybody. I hope you're having a really great Thursday. And I wanted to share some stuff with y'all. I've had a long week. I've had a long week, as many of us probably have. I really, today, it's just been, you have those days when grief just punches you in the face. And today, not only did I get punched in the face by the grief of losing my sister. Thank you guys again for all your positive comments and all the, hearts and prayers and all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Let me get these tracks back where they was. Anyway, thank you guys for all of your positive commentary and, just sharing positive words. I really do appreciate it because, it's a lot. It's a lot. And anybody who's going through it right now, I'm praying for you. I don't know what's happening, but it just seems like it's hitting a lot of people. And, we just have to give each other grace and hope that, it doesn't continue to just, we don't continue to get inundated with loss, because it seems to be happening to so many people that I know. So if you or somebody that you know has lost somebody that you love or care about, or is dealing with any kind of illness or sickness or whatever, I pray for you. I have had my share of it, and I thank God for keeping me healthy and keeping my family healthy for the most part, other than the loss of my sister. I'm so sorry, Alan, you lost your sister in 2019. That's the same year I lost my mom. I'm so sorry. I love my sister so much, and she was such a light and such a positive energy and such a positive, person in my life. She wasn't really all off into social media and all that stuff, but she was very aware of what was going on and very aware, my career, direction and all that other stuff. So she was just really one of the people that I leaned on that was outside of my scope of what I do every day. So prayers to everyone. Alan, prayers to you on the loss of your sister, anyone who has lost a parent, anybody who has lost a loved one. I'm praying for you. So guys, I am going to show a clip. I can't figure out how to do it on, let me see something. Well, share a photo or a video with your viewers. Oh, so I guess I could share. I'm doing too much. Okay. I'm not that savvy with the Instagram dropping and stuff and whatnot, but so I felt compelled to share this. I'm definitely gonna share it on my YouTube channel. Whenever I say YouTube, Instagram be like, keep your mouth shut, the Uda. But I'm gonna share it on my YouTube channel tonight. It's just a small clip of a moment where I called my best friend. It was in December, right around the 16th or 17th, which is when I got the order from the appeals court that they were not going to give me the opportunity to go forward to trial. And it was a really emotional, it was a deep moment, to say the least. Gotta say YT so they don't flag me. Okay. I mean, I'm flagged. Oh, here's the thing. I'm getting flagged by all of the bots because I'm fighting companies that have, access to all of the bots. I'm not saying any one particular company is calling they bots and telling them to flag my channels and whatnot, but we know how that shit works. So the beautiful thing is that, it reaches one or two people, and that's all it really takes to change the world, right? They watching big time. We watching them too, though. Oh, in a major way. We watching each other. And they always watch the people who, are speaking truth to power. And our accounts are always flagged. I got so much like, oh, you've done this and you've said this on YouTube and you've done that. I mean, not on YouTube. Fingers, toes, and eyes crossed if it doesn't happen over there. But anyway, I digress. So just like the clip of my opinion of Tory Lanez got to the people, the information gets to the people. So people will probably take clips from this video and other videos. And I just have learned to not get too caught up in the numbers. As a matter of fact, the numbers don't show you who's watching. It's like 5 people in here, but we know what the truth is. So you just kind of have to keep going and keep posting and keep sharing and not get caught up in how many people, right? Not the number, not the quantity, but the quality. Oh, you just saw the interview and it was good. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's crazy because, it's just as a community, we just, whenever we're sharing information that can help push us forward, we always get, shadow banned. And, that's a form of discrimination, a major form of discrimination that doesn't get talked about enough. But it is what it is. Again, I even stop. Like sometimes if I post something, I won't even allow people to comment or like it because it really ain't even about comments or likes. It's about the information going out. So when my Instagram lives get down to 1 person, I'm still going forward. I'm not going to stop and restart and do all that shit again because at the end of the day, it's about sharing information that any one person can use. So speaking of sharing information that any one person can use, probably about 9:30 tonight, I'm going to go live on my WIRF.TV YouTube channel. I'm going to try to share this with you guys because I'm going to share it on my channel as well. Some of y'all might not be there. So I'm going to try, since there's only like 3 people on this live, to see if I can drop this video in. And trigger warning, it's a lot. It's a slight tinge of emotional. Not a slight tinge, it's very emotional. And it's emotional because it is 10 days after I flew to LA to have my oral hearing with the appeals court. And what's really crazy is the appeals court said in their order that this can be decided on without oral hearing. And the crazy shit is they didn't even realize that we actually had an oral hearing. So when people start asking me about what my perspective on Tory Lanez and my perspective on my apology, first of all I did was apologize for speaking out of turn, right? Because that's exactly what I did. I spoke out of turn. I had no idea all this evidence that was coming in today and over the past few weeks would be coming in. I had been hearing some things from some folks that said, there are things that have been, either omitted or new things that have come up, whatever. Again, I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm not anti-Meg. I'm not anti-Tory. I'm not anti-anybody, especially nobody, period, because we got enough of that already. But I am anti opening your mouth and having an opinion on something, not having all the information. So my apology, as I stated, was for Tory. It wasn't for the internet. I did it on the internet because I think that your apology should be as loud as your disrespect. But it was directed to him, and it was directed to him because I realized that I just kind of jumped on this bandwagon thinking that, you know, and I'm not going to rehash that because there's a whole video which got actually ironically like hundreds of thousands of views already on my Twitter. So there's that, you know, especially the way Twitter been playing me, right? You Twitter, y'all know what y'all doing over there. But anyway, and I left and I came back because I said, okay, it don't matter at this point. All of them are a little whack here and there. So you might as well use all the platforms and reach all the people that you can. But I spoke too soon without having the evidence, and I don't know that any of the evidence that has come up will be enough, you know, to get him another trial or pardoned or whatever, exonerated, whatever people want. But it's not cool for me to do what I did. And I just feel like we should get into this space of being able to apologize when we do something that we believe as individuals was out of order. And I felt like adding fuel to the fire, you know, of what was going on with Tory and Meg just, you know, wasn't my place. It wasn't for me to do. So anyway, today I got some really funky news. And that funky news is that my lawyer explained to me that the appeals court, Ninth Circuit in California, has awarded Lionsgate another $200,000. Well, no, not $200,000. Lionsgate is awarded $159,822 in legal fees. Once again, the billionaires have been awarded from me, and I ain't got it. So I mean, it is what it is. I don't have it. But yeah, today I got a letter from my attorneys, and the letter says, what? Huh? I just read this on live. Appellant Nicci Gilbert Daniels did not file an objection to the fee request. Huh? Really? I didn't know. And my lawyers left, so there I go. Somebody said, why? There it is. It says, Appellant Nicci Gilbert Daniels did not file an objection to the fee request. See 9th Circuit Rule 3917. So Lionsgate has been awarded $159,822. Yeah. So Lionsgate is going to come after me for about $1 million in legal fees. And they're coming after me for $1 million in legal fees because they can. And the appeals court has given them the right to do that. And yeah, I don't have $1 million to pay these people. I just don't. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And the reason the appeals court gave them $1 million in legal fees, and we're going to get into this on I'm going to unpack and rewatch the appeals hearing that the appeals court forgot they had. That's what's so crazy to me, y'all. The appeals court issued an order, and in the order, which was like 2 pages, like the appeals court said, you know, this issue can be resolved without a hearing. Y'all, we had a whole oral hearing that's on YouTube. So when people start talking to me about my opinion of Tory Lanez and my opinion of what's going on in his case, I have to speak from a place of my own personal experiences with the judicial system in California. And the judicial system in California has not done right by me on any level as far as I'm concerned. From the moment I got there, it was chaos and horror for me. And I was a plaintiff who went there for protection, and I was treated like a defendant. I was treated, you know, I went there to protect my IP. I went there to have my due process. And I was basically, after 5 years of lots and lots of legal fees and all kinds of stuff, you know, the judge said, get this out of here, you know. But matter of fact, before I even got there, he had told them to file a summary judgment motion. So we knew he didn't see any thing in my case that would work out in my favor. And it's really unfortunate. And you know, people have a lot to say about Tory and my perspective on Tory. Oh yes, I do. I'm finna talk to y'all about that. We got a little bit. We got a little bit. We're gonna talk about on that live. Y'all see what this is, because I got this today too. But yeah, I just was really brokenhearted. So I'm gonna show you guys this clip. It's a little embarrassing. It's not. It's actually not embarrassing. It's real. It's raw. Trigger warning. I'm gonna see if I can dump this in here. But I was just blown away at the lack of consideration I got as a plaintiff, and how they just, you know, throughout my experts report, throughout the fact that, you know, I met with the people and left them my materials. Okay, well, it's not that many people on here. I'm gonna show you guys this clip. This is a clip from my upcoming documentary, which is Diary of a Diva, and this chapter is Nicci versus Goliath. So for those of you who have been following me, I've been working on this book, and this book is the umbrella title is Diary of a Diva, and it basically shows my journey through. One chapter will be my journey through R&B divas. Well, there will be books. I'm sorry, they're novelettes, very small, easy to read, 50, 60 page books, a set of 4. One of them is like my life story, where I'm from, what it was like growing up in Detroit, blah, 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 blah. The other one is my journey through Brownstone and music and Michael Jackson and all that stuff. And then the other one is R&B divas and my journey through television and film and what that meant and blah, 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 blah. And then the first one, which, you know, was supposed to be released for my birthday. I'm still hoping that I can, but this book right here had to come first. And this book was not cheap. So I had to switch gears and get this book, which is, this is a booklet that you file with the Supreme Court. It is my writ of certiorari. It took so much to do this. I'm going to share this with you all, but this book almost did not happen. When I found out that I lost at the appeals court. Well, let me show y'all this clip. Can't believe this is just a small clip. And I debated about showing it, but I'm going to show it anyway. So let me see if I can drop this in here. Hold on. Is it Hill? Is it Hill? I think this is it. It's 2 minutes. So
I cannot believe this. We lost.
This is me talking to my best friend.
Actually, I have to let it go. I can't let it drive me crazy.
Yeah, you can't let it drive you crazy, but you also can't allow injustice to continue to occur. It doesn't.
This has been 4 years, and it's like.
This was December 16th when I got the ruling, you guys.
Yeah, we're going to have to process this. This is going to take a minute. Because for me, if it was me, I'm still fighting. Because it doesn't make any sense. If it made sense, it's one thing. But this makes actually no sense.
I'm not, there's nothing. But what I'm saying is there is nothing I can do except accept this. I mean,
who's accepting this? We're never going to accept this. No.
We have to accept it, Tyree.
It doesn't make no fucking sense. It doesn't make any sense. There's another way around this. We got to think through it. And so there's no recourse after this? You have to just let it go?
I mean, you go to Supreme Court, but, you know, come on. I'm not taking this to the Supreme Court.
Nicci?
Yes?
I'm going to need you to cry it out.
I am.
I'm going to need you to
I mean, I'll be okay.
And then in the morning, we're going to reset this and we're going to figure out another way around this, because there's a whole bunch of ways.
There is no other way.
It may not be in court.
The Supreme Court.
Okay, now how do I stop this? Hold on, how do I stop it, y'all? Y'all didn't tell me how to get it out. Stop sharing. Okay, stop sharing. I just did it for the first time. Woo woo! So that is a very short clip. And the reason I chose to, hey, Celicia, hi, how are you? Okay, so that is a really short clip. And the reason I chose to share that clip with you guys today is because, again, my best friend is just the shit. She is the dopest ever. And, you know, I called her, and that's just a very small snippet. Every time I got a ruling, unlike today, finding out I got to pay them $159,000 extra, $160,000. The appeals court has held me responsible for $160,000 additional for the appeal. But I'm not crying about that today. And I'm not crying about that today because I honestly was not going to. When I first got the ruling, you guys, I was not going to pursue the Supreme Court. For me, it was just like, come on, that's ridiculous. Why would you do it? These things never work. You got a snowball's chance in hell. And then when my sister, bless her heart, went into hospice, I was really like, I can't, it's impossible for me to prepare for the Supreme Court and try to fight this thing at such a big level and then be there for my sister, because that was the most important thing for me, right? And during the entire 18 months that she was fighting, glioblastoma is the brain cancer that my sister died from. It was already difficult enough, and I was in the case trying to be home. I was back and forth flying a lot, you guys. It was just a lot. So I had decided that God wants me to learn a different lesson from this, and that I was not going to pursue the Supreme Court. And I remember sitting with my sister and her asking me about it, and I didn't want to tell her. I got this information in December, and I just did not want to tell my sister that I had lost my appeal. She and her husband watched the appeal. She called me afterwards like, I really think they're going to, you know, allow you to go to trial. And I just did not have the heart to tell her that I didn't win. I'm getting emotional. Oh, Lord. Okay. I told you I wasn't going to cry. The crying is in the documentary. And there's lots of crying in the documentary. But there's lots of empowering dope shit happening too. Yeah, I had decided I wasn't going to do it. And then I was sitting with my sister, and she knew that I had lost at the appeals court level at the hospital one day. She was like, when were you going to tell me you lost? And I was like, oh my God. Well, I didn't all the way lose because I could have gone to the Supreme Court, but I'm not going to. She's like, oh, you can still go to the Supreme Court. I'm like, yeah, I can still go. She was like, well, bitch, you better go. That's how we talk to each other. And I was like, no, well, sister, I'm thinking about it. She was like, look, you go all the way, you fight. And to hear that from someone fighting terminal brain cancer, was, you know, a lot. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. It was too much. And I said, yeah, I will. I was like, I am, I promise. But here we go. Child, listen. Somebody said sisters be knowing. You ain't never lied. But I had secretly reached out to my attorneys because, you know, she took a turn for the worst in like February, and we knew that she had a certain amount of time left. So I knew I had to be there. So I called my lawyers and I was like, hey, whatever we need to do to try to wrap this thing up, you know, I know that the Supreme Court is an option, but if Lionsgate and Starz and Katori Hall agree to just drop it and just let it go, that I would just agree to like let it go. I was even like, look, anything I said publicly, I won't continue to ride this wave. You know, let's just figure out if there's a way for us to fix this. So they reached out to Lionsgate, and initially Lionsgate said, okay, well, you know, let's figure out what that looks like. So Lionsgate had kind of started the process of negotiating, or saying they would start negotiating with my attorneys to figure out if we could settle this without me being charged millions of dollars in legal fees, right? And then right around the time it was like going to be too late for me to file with the Supreme Court, right? Even though my sister was dying and they knew she was in hospice, dying of brain cancer, Katori said no. Katori was like, the judge ruled that we could get the judgment. So Katori was like, I'm coming to get my judgment, you know? And the judge gave them $1 million or close to $1 million. So she was like, you know, she didn't use those exact words, but, you know, basically in a nutshell, Katori said that Lionsgate said that they would work with me on this, but Katori was like, nah, I want my shit, basically. I'm paraphrasing. She didn't say that, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. So my husband and I were like, well, if we're going to end up owing all these people anyway, then we may have no choice but to file bankruptcy, right? So, in bankruptcy, as terrible as it is, lots of people have to resort to it. Unfortunately, I didn't think being a plaintiff, going to a court of law for protection and my constitutional right to due process, that I would end up having the court turn it over on me and make me pay them after they've already, in my opinion, taken my IP, right? But the judge was like, hey, like I said, as soon as it got to California, he ordered them to file a summary judgment motion. So, and he told us we couldn't do discovery, and no, you can't have discovery, none of that. So I knew I didn't have any chances in that California district court, right? So we talk about why I have questions about what may or may not have happened with Tory Lanez. There it is, my own personal experiences with the court system. I had all kind of evidence that my expert report, my expert is a 30-year expert. He had 30 years, Puzo family, whole 9 yards, very experienced. And they threw his report out. The fact that I met with the CEO and left all my materials, they threw that out. There is a deposition where Katori Hall and the CEO that I left my stuff with and Nico Anand were deposed that you'll never see. You will never see it because the judge said, oh, redact that, even though the magistrate judge gave me the right to do it. So you will never see what these people saw. You will never see that evidence because the court said, no, we're not going to present that. So when people question me about the Tory Lanez thing, like I said, I don't know what happened. I was not there. I'm not saying anybody's lying. Nobody. I'm not saying Meg is lying. I'm not saying Tory's lying. I'm not saying anybody's lying. What I'm saying is, based on my own experience, I learned to just shut my mouth because there are things that happen in the judicial system that we don't know nothing about. There's evidence that we don't necessarily see. I'm not saying this happened. I'm saying in my experience, based on what went down with me, sometimes it occurs. And because I did not know that in 2022, when I found out about the Tory Lanez and Meg, think about it. The incident happened actually on the same day that PVALLEY debuted. July 12th, I believe, was the day the whole incident happened. So I was already kind of consumed in my own world of what was going on with my stuff. So that's what my apology was for. My apology wasn't, oh, I got it wrong. She was right. You were right. They were right. My apology was, I spoke out of turn because I didn't have all the information. And then when I realized that even in my own case, how is it that I'm being charged another $160,000? How am I being charged another $160,000 in legal fees? Well, it says here that I didn't file an objection to the fee request, but I guess that's a mistake that I made as a pro se litigant because I can't afford to pay my lawyers the hundreds of thousands of dollars that is required to have them represent me. But I did do this. So I'm going to say this and then I'm going to get off this long-winded ass live. So today, after all that drama that I just played y'all in that clip, telling my best friend that I was not going to file with the Supreme Court, this is my writ of certiorari in the Supreme Court of the United States. Doctor, and yes, I'm going to wear my doctor proudly. We're going to have a conversation about that too, because people be shading honorary doctorates, but I'm wearing mine with pride because I worked my ass off for 30 years to get it. But today in the mail, I got a copy of my writ of certiorari, and it is Dr. Nicci Gilbert Daniels, petitioner versus Lionsgate Entertainment respondents on petition for writ of certiorari in the United States. On petition for a writ of certiorari to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. My writ of certiorari. Doctor. Yes. So this thing is pages on pages on pages, and I finally got the format and everything right. It still has to go through a process where the case analyst has to go through it and make sure that everything, make sure everything is everything. But This is my last shot, you guys. And I'm praying to God that the Supreme Court understands. Okay, so you have to ask questions, okay? There have to be questions, and that is actually how it starts off. Your writ has to start off with questions presented. So my questions are, question number 1, substantial similarity and summary judgment. Does the Ninth Circuit's, now this might sound like a little bit of legal kind of stuff. I've also become a baby lawyer in a little bit of time, in the 5 years that I've been in this case. But question number 1 is substantial similarity and summary judgment. Does the Ninth Circuit's application of the extrinsic test, which I'll explain that in my master's class, and its requirement of striking similarity conflict with the circuit's or Supreme Court's precedents? And did the lower courts err in granting summary judgment by finding no substantial similarity as a matter of law? So for those of you who know a little something about law, an extrinsic test is a test where they take out all of the elements that are just common or scenes of Frere, which is something that was kind of created. And then the remaining elements, if those remaining elements are similar, then, you know, it's considered substantially similar. The second question is expert evidence and copyright infringement. Whether the Ninth Circuit erred in, you know, erred is made a mistake or, you know, whatever. Whether the Ninth Circuit erred in affirming the exclusion of petitioner's expert report and declaration offered to highlight substantial similarities between the works at issue, thus depriving petitioner of critical, specialized analysis and raising due process concerns in the adjudication of complex copyright claims, right? So again, I became a little baby lawyer. I did this pro se. Thank God for the internet and all of the briefs. I read all my briefs over and over and over again. I was a brief reading fool. And I was able to pull and extract as much information as possible. Nobody goes to the Supreme Court without legal representation. But as you guys see from what I told you earlier today, I got $160,000 more in fees that I have to pay the billionaires because I had the audacity to fight for my intellectual property rights. So I couldn't afford an attorney, especially with all the, you know, like I said, I've been spending a lot of time with my sister and there's that whole thing. So I'm going to go into this and do a little bit more of a deep dive, but I wanted to share this with you guys because I know I come on here a lot and I have a lot of things to say about my case and a lot of things to say about, you know, this fight that I've been in since 2020. But I want you guys to understand that this is, at this point, it's not even really about P-Valley anymore. It is really about fighting for creatives so that we have a fighting chance against billion-dollar corporations. Because as it stands right now, if my case is allowed to stay as it is, right, and we don't get the option of having it heard by the Supreme Court, this is a writ of certiorari, which what it means is to know for certain, to determine for certain that what they did was in fact accurate and should be law. So think about it. And I'm going to leave y'all with this, and then I'm going to go over, like I said, in about an hour, I'll be live on WIRF.TV YouTube channel. But think about it. Even if you don't like me, if you don't like me because I got knock knees and black gums, which my knees don't knock, and my gums ain't really black. They like kind of a dark pink. It's melanin. Because I actually asked the dentist once. I was like, you know, are my gums a little dark? He's like, honey, that's melanin. That's a good thing. I was like, oh, it's a good thing. So it's followed me since 2012. And now it's actually funny. But if you don't like me for whatever reason, that's okay. But think about it from this perspective. If this case is allowed to stand as it is, with me having gone to California court system for protection for an IP that I shared with a company that gave Katori Hall $100 million to produce a substantially similar idea, and I'm stuck with a bill paying all of their fees when they had an insurance company arguing their case for the most part, then this means that every case that comes after me, because this sets a precedent, and when a precedent is set, basically they'll be able to go, and let's just say you wrote a movie called Winnie the Pooh, and it's an original. They'll be able to go and be like, well, yeah, we know that they got Tigger and they got Sugar, and they got poo and they got do, and the story is identical. But see, that Nicci Gilbert case had 57 comparisons too. That Nicci Gilbert Daniels case had an expert report too. That Nicci Gilbert Daniels case had an undisputed declaration that she met with the same people who were putting it on as well. So what do you have to fight with? What do you have to fight with? As a creative, they can just take it. This is going to put the battery in the backs of any corporation that wants to benefit off of creatives without paying them for their intellectual ideas. And that would be a horrible thing. That would be a horrible thing, because as Black folks and creatives, not just Black folks, but just all creatives, right? As creatives, you should have copyright protection based on the Copyright Act, right? You should be able to protect the things that you create. And at the very least, you should be able to go before a jury of 12 people and present all of your evidence, not your evidence after it's been parceled through. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I had tons of evidence. I sat with these people. They did not deny having a meeting with me. Now, they couldn't remember the details or couldn't remember whatever, but they did not deny that we met. And the reason they told me my case couldn't go forward is because my character does not describe himself as a her or she pronouns. Now, yes, my character is said to be a drag queen and a den mother, and her name is Tata Burlesque, and she's gay. He's gay, I'm sorry. But he's not as gay as Uncle Clifford. They also said the reason why my case couldn't go forward is because my casino was only mentioned a couple of times in a 2-hour play versus the numerous times that it was mentioned in P-Valley as an 8 to 10 hour series. And I'm gonna rewatch the appeals. If you guys haven't seen the appeals video, please tune in to WIRF.tv tonight. About 9:30. Actually, it's gonna be more like 10 o'clock because I need to watch my dog. But if you don't get a chance to, when you think of the cabaret and P-Valley, you can see it exactly. And the bottom line is, mine was copyrighted in 2006. Hers wasn't copyrighted until 2017, 2018. It was on DVD. Fantasia was in it. But most people don't even know Soul Kittens Cabaret is what gave birth to R&B Divas, because a lot of the women on R&B Divas were in Soul Kittens and blah, 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 blah. But my point is just, I'm not at this point fighting just because of the P-Valley infringement. At this point, I'm fighting for every creative on the planet who will ever or would ever find themselves in a situation where a Goliath of a corporation has decided that they're going to infringe on their creativity and make hundreds of millions of dollars off of it. And then for the creative to be charged, the creative to be penalized, and no consideration for the horrors that my family has had to endure over the years. No consideration. People don't give a shit about you. Really. Really. That's the other thing. But that's another conversation. And to be faced with a high 7-figure judgment and not have the right to go to a jury and have evidence suppressed, that's the stuff that makes me question whether or not I spoke out of turn. Well, not even question. It makes me realize that I spoke out of turn, right? Now, I know Tory Lanez and Meg is a different situation. There's gun violence. There's Protect Black Women. There's all of that. But the fact still remains that in this judicial system that is not flawless, there are times when evidence is suppressed. There are times when evidence comes into play that wasn't available or wasn't there initially. And when that happens, you should be allowed to fight for your life. You should be allowed to fight for your family. You should be allowed to fight for your property. And if we're living in a country where all you got to do is have a lot of money and power, and you can just shit on people and just take what you want and threaten them. And here's the gag again. If I had not gone to the appeals court, believing that the appeals court would actually consider my case and my plight, if I chose not to go to them, Lionsgate wouldn't have come after me for legal fees because I would have given up my rights. And as long as I gave up my rights, I wouldn't have had to pay all of these fees. So I don't regret that I may have to file bankruptcy. I don't regret that my family is going to suffer financially. I don't regret that there are people out here that are going to be like, she took away the Valley, she took away the Pank, she took away Uncle Clifford, whatever. That shit can burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. Because at the end of the day, I spent years developing the character that y'all know as Uncle Clifford. I spent years telling the story about gentrification and casinos in my hometown of Detroit. Hello, Detroit-ish. The casinos really actually came to Detroit. And for the appeals court to say to someone from Detroit, you only mentioned the casinos once or twice, when we real life, real time experienced gentrification in our communities in these small little clubs that my mother performed at. That people, it happened in real life in my space. Chuckalisa, whatever it is that the girl called the place, doesn't even exist in real life. And let me say this too. Y'all know what the situation is because y'all know good and full well that that second season was nothing compared to the first season. And you know why? A big part of it is that Isaiah Washington, who happens to be a friend of mine, and yes, I talked to him after I filed my case, and we had a nice little conversation. And of course, they probably brought him back to sign an NDA, but anyway, probably. I'm gonna say nothing for sure, so there's that. But the fact that Isaiah's character, the homophobic antagonist who was there to take over the casino, was removed in the second season from PVALLEY should tell you everything you need to know about the cover-up, honey. The fact that the characters that were most like the characters in Soul Kittens Cabaret, Autumn Night, Brandy Whitaker, the homophobic antagonist trying to take over the club with the casino development, the fact that those people were removed or walked away or whatever it is, I don't know, because I don't want nobody saying that I done said something that didn't actually happen in this defamation. But the fact that they just didn't show up, and the fact that Katori Hall had a first look deal with those people where she's supposed to be writing and producing all of this stuff, and she's only done 2 seasons. What's this, July 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. We about to be in July 2025. In 5 years, ma'am. 5 years. Call it the SAG after strike. How many shows wasn't filming during the SAG after strike and you in season 2 since the SAG after strike of those shows? Please wake up and smell the coffee, y'all. It's clear. The creativity, the genius, the story came from here and here based on my lived experiences like most of them do. It has been, been going downhill ever since. And while I may never win, while this writ that I paid so much money for, so I hope when it's public on the docket, you guys go and read it because it's very, very, very good and very informative. But while I may never get that justice and I may end up having to file bankruptcy, which we will recover from in the event that that's what we have to do, she will always have to be connected to me with a question mark. Did she take this idea from Nicci Gilbert Daniels? Always. And the reason why is not because I just randomly went out here and accused her of something that did not happen. It is because when you go and you look at those comparisons, when you consider the fact that I was never given the right to go to trial. See, that's what this is about. Due process violation. Abuse of discretion. A judge is not a trier of fact. In fact, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to talk about in my opening statement. In the writ, even in the appeals court itself, in the appeals court itself, there is a split, which is another reason why the Supreme Court should really look at this. But this case raises I'm so proud of myself. This case raises urgent constitutional and doctrinal concerns about the use of expert testimony, blah, 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 despite offering, but as the Ninth Circuit itself recognized in Zindel, Fox Searchlight, additional evidence, including expert testimony, would aid in the objective literary analysis needed to determine the extent of qualitative importance of the similarities, particularly plausibly alleged shared plot sequence. Indeed, as Judge Kim Wardlaw remarked during the argument in Zindel, and this argument is public so you can see it yourself, and this is from an appeals court judge. Now keep in mind, the judge in my case looked at the evidence and he decided that there was no similarity. He decided that I mischaracterized Tata Burlesque. He decided that Tata wasn't gay enough to be similar to Uncle Clifford. Gay is a gender identity. It is not about your fingernails being long and blue, as the appeals court judge said. Well, yeah, Tata doesn't have the long blue fingernails that Uncle Clifford has. Those are wardrobe and costume choices. That is not a matter of gender identity, which is why you need an expert so they can break that down. I'm not criticizing the judges for not knowing that. I'm just saying you cannot say that because a person does not have long blue fingernails or wearing a wig or she and her pronouns, that their gender identity for sure isn't gay, because it is. Because gay means that you sleep with other men. And both Uncle Clifford and Tata Burlesque are on the down low and sleep with other men. That in and of itself is similar. But because judges are not trained in that area, that should have been left for the jury to decide, not for a judge to decide. I'm not the only person who feels that way. I'm going to read this and I'm going to let y'all go. Judge Kim McLean Wardlaw remarked this during Zindel, which was another substantial similarity case. I think it's kind of hubris for a district court judge to think they have enough knowledge and basis in film and theory, things that people go to USC, UCLA to learn all about, that they can decide this just on a dismissal stage, except in rare cases where it's just obviously so frivolous. So we have in the writ a lot of case reference commentary from other judges that conflicts with the decision that was made in my case. And my whole family's livelihood is on the line. Everything that we have fought for, everything that we have worked for, and all we ask is for an opportunity to go before a jury and have all of our evidence heard. So I get that some people want to argue with me about the Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion situation, but my own personal experiences have taught me that if you don't know what you're talking about, keep your mouth closed. All right, you guys. So come over to WIRF.tv and watch the oral hearing with me. The oral hearing that the appeals court judges forgot that they had. That's another thing. Like, how do you forget we had an oral hearing? And I'm going to show maybe another clip, and I'm actually going to read an excerpt from my book, Nicci versus Goliath. So may not win in the court of law, but I hope that the court of public opinion rides with your girl on this, because it is about creative equality and making sure that we have the right to due process, because nobody wants to lose everything and not have an opportunity to present all the evidence and all of the things that could potentially save them. It's just not fair. It is not right. All right, you guys. So I love and appreciate y'all. Thank you for all the prayers and positive words. You know, sometimes grief punches you in the face. Today was a day that it punched me in the face. That and this it ain't $160,000, y'all. I'm tripping. It's $159,822 in legal fees that I found out today. Additional legal fees that I have to pay Lionsgate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But this is the judicial system that we're in. And until something is done about it, this will be what it is. All right? All right. I'll see y'all on... Oh, YT. I got to quit saying... Right. Okay. YT. See y'all on YT. WIRF.tv. And we're going to watch this thing together. I love y'all. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. No weapon formed shall prosper. Thank you, guys. Mwah. See y'all later.